everyone, it's Oksana here. Welcome back to our podcast. I appreciate you joining us today. How are you guys? Great? Perfect. In our last episode, we talked all about Russian hospitality and what it's like to be a guest in someone's home here in Russia. Today, we're diving deeper into the topic and focusing on some special things you need to know, like the rules and tips for how to behave when you're invited to somebody's home. So, whether you're new to Russia or just want to brush up on your etiquette, stick around for some valuable insights and practical advice. Let's get started. Russian hospitality follows precise rules and rituals. So, let me tell you about all the behaviors and good manners which are suitable for when you arrive at the house of a host family or any Russian person. Well, first of all, rules. Rule number 1. Take off your shoes. Yeah, guys, you heard right. As soon as you step through the door, you will find a shoe rack or a closet where you can store your shoes. This is a really smart solution because by doing so, you won't dirty up the floors. Moreover, every good Russian host has slippers for their guests, especially for women, so you can wear them and keep your socks white. Sounds pretty good. Rule number 2. Bring a present. Yeah, guys, again, presents. But it's customary to bring a small present for your host family. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything big or expensive. A small gift made with heart, and which is perhaps typical of your country, will be fine. And remember, many flower shops in Russia are open 24/7. Sounds great for last-minute invitations. Rule number 3. Show your appreciation and gratitude. Okay, this is probably a rule that applies in any country for sure. However, in Russia it's particularly recommended to show appreciation for what is offered to you, especially when it comes to food prepared by your host themselves. Imagine, if the table is set with lots of delicacies, this means that your host has probably spent hours cooking for you. Thank them for their hospitality. Well, I should say these are some basic rules to know. Now let's turn our attention to tips. Tip number 1. Show up on an empty stomach. Yep, guys, whether you're going to meet a Russian friend for lunch or for an afternoon tea party, be prepared to be given a lot of food. When it comes to hospitality, Russians always pay a lot of attention to their guests. They want to make them feel at ease, and this means a lot of food. Tip number 2. Read a lot and be curious. Get information on the latest news and bring knowledge and curiosity. Russians like to entertain themselves with long and interesting conversations, and will often prefer a serious, topical subject to a more frivolous one. Comparing ideas while sitting around a banquet is very common here. Tip number 3. Do not overdo it with the vodka. Guys, be careful, please. I'm totally sure you're acquainted with it, and even some of you have an experience and consequences after it. Everybody knows that in Russia, a bottle of vodka, or more than one, on the table is a must while dining with friends. Locals usually drink it in small glasses, all in one sip, toasting to a million different things. I think it's fair to assume that the Russians have developed greater resistance to the effects of this drink. So, do not be intimidated. If you do not want to have your glass filled once again, just say it kindly and nobody will be offended. Now it's high time to switch our attention to the parties and events. What to do when you are invited to different events? There are a few basic rules to follow, depending on the occasion. First up, birthday parties. If you're going to someone's birthday dash, It's customary to bring a present for the birthday person. Yeah, but it's birthday, guys. We do love presents indeed. If you're close friends, it's okay to ask what they want beforehand. But if not, try to pick something practical that Russians like. It can be a nice tea set, a colorful blanket, or a subscription to their favorite music. And if you are totally stumped, just pop some money in an envelope, sign it with love, and hand it over. Easy peasy, guys. Russians really don't like it when people show up to a birthday party empty-handed. Even though they might not say anything, it's kinda expected that you bring a little something. Oh, and if it's a lady's birthday, a bunch of flowers is usually enough. Just remember, guys, odd numbers of flowers only. Even numbers are for funerals. Yeah, guys, it's a kind of a superstition, and I should admit we take it very, very seriously, especially people from remote villages. Now, let's talk about weddings. Russian weddings are a big deal, and they can cost a ton of money. People even take a loan from a bank for it. Imagine. So, when you're invited to one, it's customary to bring some cash in an envelope for the newlyweds. The amount is up to you, but bringing around 3,000 to 5,000 rubles is pretty standard. This is a long-standing tradition which comes from the Soviet past. In those days, weddings cost too much. But now they're even more expensive, I should say. That's why guests should bring money so the married couple can afford a honeymoon and pay all the wedding expenses if the parents can't. Some people bring less, and some do not bring any money at all. But just know that it's kinda expected. And don't forget to sign the envelope. The couple will know who gave what. At a Russian wedding, the tamada is the master of ceremonies. The rest world calls them MC. The tamada or MC at a Russian wedding is probably the first person one can meet at the celebration. Usually the MC is the center of the universe. Guests drink, eat, propose toasts at the command of the MC. Traditionally, the tamada announces every guest who has to stand up and instantly stop eating and drinking. Congratulate the couple with a toast and then hand over the long-awaited envelope to them. They are basically in charge of everything, making toasts, announcing guests, and keeping the party going. Speaking of toasts, Russians love them long and personal, so it's a good idea to come prepared with a toast or two. And trust me, surviving a Russian wedding is an adventure in itself. I mean, much drinking, being involved in different quizzes, and much dancing as a competition. Another one I would like to note is housewarming parties. They are a bit easier, I should say. Just bring a gift that's useful for the new home. Not just any old present, but a useful one. That's because moving into a new apartment or a house in Moscow is rather expensive, like anywhere else. And the house or flat owners are expecting you to present something that they haven't bought yet for their housekeeping. In this case, use your imagination and bring a present they would probably like. For example, nice wall pictures, pillows, blankets, dishes, domestic appliances, and even a vacuum cleaner. Sounds strange, but pick something they will love anyway. Finally, Parties without a specific reason are pretty common in Russia. They may not happen only on weekends, but even in the middle of workdays. You do not have to bring a gift to these, but it's a nice gesture to bring something small like a bottle of wine or some flowers. These parties are usually pretty casual. And now, you would like just to hear some true feedbacks from foreigners who really did their best on such occasions. Here you are. A British expert who attended a Russian wedding and was surprised by the amount of food and drink served, as well as the lively dancing and music that went on late into the night. That's the wedding. Next, an American expert who celebrated his birthday in Russia and was touched by the tradition of giving small gifts to guests as a token of appreciation for attending the celebration. Yeah, it can be happen. Next, a French expert who was invited to a Russian birthday party and was amazed by the elaborate decorations and attention to detail in planning the event. Oh guys, we love decorations. 4. An Australian expert who participated in a traditional Russian toast at a wedding where guests take turns giving hot-left speeches and raising a glass to the newlywed. Poor guy. And the last one, a Canadian expert who experienced the unique tradition of breaking bread and salt with the hosts at a Russian celebration, symbolizing friendship and hospitality. Yeah, so it's a very ancient tradition, so meeting new people, especially from different countries with bread and salt. That's perfect and very cute tradition, guys. Well, if you're enjoying our podcast and want to get involved, join us on our Telegram channel, Expert Adventures in Russia, Instagram group, Expert Adventures in Russia, and Facebook with the same name. Feel free to share your own stories or ask questions. We are here to help. Until next time, take care and have a fantastic day. Bye bye, guys.